Everything okay over there?
Everything is good. I'm trying to get the standings called up, and ESPN doesn't have the standings updated yet, which doesn't surprise me because their coverage of tonight's game was absolutely atrocious.
Here
So,
we go.
the Wild pulls out a very impressive, largely because I thought they put a terrible third period, a very impressive OT victory in which, if I'm not mistaken, if the scorers in Dallas got it right, the Flower, Marc-Andre Fleury, gets the primary assist on the Frederick Gaudreau game-winning overtime goal. Kevin Fiala, Declan Goff's favorite player, and that is Declan Goff on your screen along with me. Judd Zulgad scores twice. Jason Robertson scored twice on Marc-Andre Fleury. A lot to dissect from tonight's game, but ultimately the good news is it is a Wild win. The St. Louis Blues beat the Buffalo Sabres tonight. They have 98 points in 74 games. They briefly jumped the Wild. The Wild, though, if I'm correct here, and the standings yet to be updated still by the Worldwide something, 98 points in 73 games. I was going to come on tonight's edition of Judd's Hockey Show and just complain about lots of things, but I will say this.
Okay.
This is another game in which I think that there's going to be a lot for the head coach, Dean Evason, to dissect from his team. I think there's going to be a lot of film, a lot of tweaks, a lot of things to look at. But at the end of the day, you did get 2 points, and that is, it's the most important thing. So, Declan, I would say that the fact that the Wild won this game, the fact that Marc-Andre Fleury, the second goal, the game-tying goal that he gave up 55 seconds into the third period to Robertson was a soft goal. But for the most part, I thought he played absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, me too.
And so I do think that there are some good things to take, including the fact that this team went into Dallas, probably could have collapsed in that third period, did a little bit, but still comes away with 2 points and is technically right now, if I'm correct, ahead of the Blues in the standings for second place in the Central Division. Why don't you go ahead and celebrate with our favorite beer, Surly? I've got mine right here. I'm not going to crack mine just yet, but here's
We're
mine.
going with the Surly Havoc. We got the Havoc Machine, the West Coast awesome. IPA in their variety pack. It's a delicious beer. For those who are unaware, Surly Brewing, a new sponsor to Judd's Hockey Show. They love Score North. They specifically love Judd, Phil, and me exactly in that order, and Purple Daily. But they also now have jumped on board to Judd's Hockey Show, which, by the way, this show will turn into a Vent Line edition once the playoffs begin, Judd, I believe May 1st. So we're just a little less than a little more than 2 weeks away from that. So this show will turn into a Wild Vent Line show. But thank you to Surly Brewing. I'm rocking the Havoc Machine. Judd's always with his Furious. Judd actually goes to sleep cradling his Surly Furious.
I used to have a Pooh Bear when I was small. Now I cradle a Surly.
If I don't say so myself.
That's outstanding.
Go
that
Huskies.
Is a first star pour. That beer, second star, because this beer is your Kaprizov. Your
That's
first
fine.
star.
Your thoughts on the game? Kevin Fiala on the second line I thought were phenomenal tonight. Outside of the a little fluky 5-hole goal that Flower allowed, I thought Marc-Andre Fleury was just dynamite, dude. And you saw it really just completely on display that when he's on, you can see it. And he's a very flamboyant out there goaltender. And he kept them in there tonight. I mean, Dallas, which we'll get into this, I know, as the show progresses, but Judd, did you notice Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Zuccarello, and Ryan Hartman at all tonight? In any positive way, I should say. Did you notice them?
A little bit. They didn't have a great game.
They didn't have a great game.
Yeah, I saw them a little bit.
But we did see tonight, and I tweeted this out because someone tweeted at us during the show when Fiala scored his first of one of 2 goals tonight, and said, do you think this hot streak, because I think it's now 8 goals in the last 10 for Fiala, I mean, going back to the new year since the Winter Classic, it's something like 18 goals. I mean, the dude's just been on a wrecking tear since the beginning of the new year. He said, do you think this can continue, right? Like, it's almost unsustainable what he's been able to do. And I say yes, actually. I say it is, because tonight, I think you saw that playoff game is going to happen exactly how they unfolded tonight. Your top line was shut down a little bit. You got mostly stellar goaltending. You needed secondary scoring. And Kevin Fiala and Frederick Gaudreau obviously getting the game winner provided that. So, yes, I think what Kevin Fiala has been able to do over this last 10 games and honestly over the last probably 4 months is sustainable, and it's going to have to happen in the playoffs if you want to steal some games too.
And Kevin Fiala is an elite goal scorer. Kirill Kaprizov is a superstar player, but Kevin Fiala is a star. And yeah, I agree. Now, I would not completely crap on the Hartman, Kaprizov, Zuccarello line tonight. I did see them. I thought that they did some decent things. But yeah, when you play a good team, especially in a game like that, there are going to be times where you're probably going to have a line that's going to thrive, and it might not be their line, as long as they don't disappear completely. But and you know what? Again, kudos to the guy that scored the OT goal.
Yeah, man.
Gaudreau had what tonight? He had the first assist on Fiala's first goal, which was a gorgeous pass. Boldy made the play to basically keep the play onside. Got it to Gaudreau. Gaudreau made a fabulous feed. The second goal, which was the shorty and again, I love Fiala killing penalties because he pressures teams. And the shorty that Fiala scored was also set up by Freddie Gaudreau, and then he scores the OTGWG. And so Gaudreau deserves, as far as a guy, again, at the start of the year, I think we both said, I don't know about this guy. And he has grown on me in a huge way. Is he the long-term answer on that line? I have no idea, but he has certainly proven that he is more than capable there. I want to talk about the concern, though, because this is, as the playoffs near, this is bothering me now.
Okay.
And I understand that with right now out. Dumba is out. Now, he's not great shakes defensively, but he's out. Johnny Merrill is out. So that there are defensemen missing. But my issue tonight, and Fleury basically combated this himself, the looseness that this team is showing at times in its own zone concerns me. They are not being... It's one thing when they jump into plays in the offensive zone with their defensemen, and I get that, and I know that they're encouraged to do so, and there are some guys on this team who can 100% do that. But I do not think that their play in their own zone tonight was conducive to winning playoff games, and that scares me a lot because I think you can count on your goaltender to make some big saves, but there's a difference between your goaltender making big saves and you becoming lethargic in your own zone at times. And what I saw tonight, and the third period really concerned me because the third period, Dallas took the play to the Wild, but here's the problem. Dallas is not that much. It's not like they're better. Like, it's not like, oh man, Dallas got to you and you're not that good. The Wild is good. I really want to see them crack down and play far more responsible hockey in their own zone with, I believe it's 9 games until the playoffs, because that's the exact type of thing that will bite you in the ass if you don't.
Yeah, it's a little concerning. You know, I'm curious because a lot of goaltenders, and I'm curious how Marc-Andre Fleury feels about this. Some goalies love seeing those shots, right? Like some seeing a lot of shots and being peppered at the net, not having lanes blocked up because they get a little more visual on the ice. But the thing is, the Wild don't really play that style of game defensively. Like the Wild like to make things difficult on their opposition and not give up high danger shots. And in general, I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury stole you a game a little bit tonight. I know he allowed in that second goal and it looked fluky. But in general, if you have a performance like this, I'm going to pop something on our screen here for the visual audience. Just kind of give a little taste of, if I cannot do that right now. Okay, I can't do that right now. I was going to show you a little screen of just where this shot chart and heat map came from tonight. And a lot of it was just dead center, right in front of Fleury. Now Flower stopped a lot of those shots. Right in front of the trapezoid there, which is great, but you don't want to also be like sustained into that success or that areas of a game where you're allowing high danger chances like that at such a high rate. Flower's great and Fleury's phenomenal. He's an upgrade. You saw why they traded for him tonight. But I tend to agree with you to a degree that if you're gonna play like this, there's also gonna be times where a good offensive team like Colorado mostly is gonna burn you. And they're going to score up and down against you.
Mm-hmm. And size helps too. So like if you if you do what the Wild did tonight, and let's say you're playing the Blues instead of the Stars, and they can create rebounds, they're a big enough team to potentially get to those pucks too. And at some point in time, Fleury's going to be down and out. And look, he made some great saves. He gave up one bad goal, which, okay, that's going to take place. He also, and not just him, the Wild as a team got fortunate at times. Pavelski had a couple pucks go off his stick. So, yeah, I don't think being lethargic in your own zone as the playoffs near to me is something that needs to be cleaned up quickly. Like, that's one thing. It's one thing to work on your tendencies. It's one thing to have to work on your neutral zone play. But if you did what the Wild did tonight in the playoffs, you're asking for trouble. And so that was the thing that struck me. I thought about it and I saw it. Definitely, I thought in the first and third periods, especially, and I'm not sure what the heat map shows, but it just felt like there was like the ice got tilted at times, and the Wild started to, for lack of a better term, run around. And again, it's different if we're talking about a team that you think is superior to you, and you basically try and hold on to win, Declan. But the Dallas Stars are not. Like, you are a better team, flat out, in my opinion, than the Stars, and it looks like you have successfully gotten the heat map.
I don't know.
And the heat map does not look like it's saying a lot for the defensive play of either side in tonight's game. If I am looking at this correctly.
Correct. So what you're seeing here on the right side of the screen is all the attempts the Dallas Stars had in the Wild's end when they were shooting against them, and that scary orange red color right in front of the cage says that there was a lot of shot attempts, i.e. like 4 to 5 multiple shot attempts in there. Also, even a lot of shots from above the circle. Now, I talked about this when he was in Chicago with Fleury, that Fleury was giving up goals from long distances at a higher rate than any other goalie. Now, I think that was more of the system in Chicago than it was on Fleury. But he also was giving up goals from far away areas, meaning untipped shots, things that were coming from basically the blue line. So Dallas had a little bit of a recipe tonight to try to beat Fleury in that regard. Now, Marc-Andre Fleury stood on his head. He was able to make up for that, but these scary colors that you see, right between the circles, point blank in front of the cage, those are areas you don't want to be giving up shots in. And the Wild have typically done a really good job historically, pre-Suter and post-Suter here, of not giving up those type of shots. And tonight, that was not the case, and luckily Fleury bailed them out to a degree.
How about the fact, too, that, and they did cite this on the telecast tonight now with the victory, the Wild is now 31-0-3 when ahead after 2 periods. They, of course, tonight were up 2-1. Robertson scored, as I said before, 55 seconds into the third. But the Wild now, I think they said, one of 5 teams that has not suffered a regulation loss when up after 2, now 31-0-3. So that's good news. That's impressive. And again, I don't want to rain on the parade of the fact that they did get 2 points, but like that shot chart and some of the things that we saw, I think give Dean a very good platform, if that makes sense, to go in and say, hey guys, we won. That's great. But again, we've got to talk about some things. And the return. So who's out defensively right now? Dumba's out. Johnny Merrill's out. Am I missing one? Because
no.
Ben is playing.
Yeah. No, Jordy Ben was playing. Dumba was out.
Kulikov played with Brodin. My point being is, I don't know that the return of Merrill's going to fix things, and Dumba is not great defensively at times. Although I do think his pairing with Brodin is good. The Goligoski, I'd love to see the heat map on the Goligoski Ben pairing. I feel like that's just asking for trouble. Personally, I felt like when Kulikov was with Goligoski and Jordy Ben was scratched, that Goose's play has dropped off, but Kulikov, I think, is solid, if that's a fair word. Like, he's not great, but he's solid.
He's solid, yeah.
But there were a couple things tonight, especially when it was Ben and Goose on the ice together, you sort of hold your breath and hope, I think this might work, but I'm not quite sure. So that is one thing as the playoffs near. If you get guys back, it's going to help. another thing, and we've talked about this, and I thought we saw it again tonight, and this is nothing against the guys that are put on this line. To me, the Foligno and Eck line, if you take one of those guys away, and I believe it was Greenway is now out, if I'm not mistaken, with an upper body injury. We don't know how long he's going to miss, but we saw it again tonight. That line, if it's Duhaime or if it's Jost, is not the same.
It's just not. It's just not. It's so weird how you just lose one player like that, and that entire line just doesn't look as strong as it did. And look, that line's been phenomenal for the Wild tonight. This all season they've needed it. And I like Tyson Jost. Actually, I liked when Jost got a look up with Fiala and Boldy as well. But at the same time, that's just kind of not going to happen for the time being. I think, to be honest, I would rather see a Duhaime. I'd rather see a Delorier. I'd rather see a Dewar, honestly, play with Eck and Foligno at that rate. I like Jost, and he's mostly done pretty solid on that fourth line. But I just don't think, in general, if you're going to maximize Jost's skill set, I don't think putting him with Eck and Foligno is going to do that. Like Jost has done a good job in the fourth line, but Eck and Foligno and Greenway are in charge of shutting things down defensively and being a pest defensively, and that's really Jost, I don't think, has the horses enough to keep up and do that. So I think it's a little too far-fetched from his game to expect that from him.
So they did with Jordan. Now they recalled Dewar today. Mm-hmm. Would you be tempted? And I'm just throwing this out as an idea. Would you be tempted to scratch Bukestad and put Jost between Dewar and Duhaime, and then although then you don't have the wing on that line. I was trying to think of a way to get Dewar back in there, so he's actually got some speed.
So would you put Delorier up with Eck and Foligno?
Delorier is who I'm thinking of. No, yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, would you consider scratching Bukestad, getting Dewar back in there, getting Jost back to the fourth line? And actually, what you could do? You could do Delorier. You could do Delorier and Jost and Dewar on the fourth line, and to your point, move Duhaime up to that neck line.
I honestly really like that. I like the sounds of it. Of course, we love line combination on the show. And by the way, we have over 600 people watching us on YouTube right now. So hit the subscribe button for Daily Minnesota Sports Entertainment. Mackie and Judd. I'm Declan Goff. We will also be doing a Timberwolves show after their first playoff game. Yes, the Wolves made the playoffs as well for just the second time in almost 20 years. So we'll also be pumping out plenty of Timberwolves content on this channel. So hit the subscribe button for Daily Minnesota Sports Entertainment, Apple, Spotify, and Score North app and .com. But yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I think if you put Duhaime up there a little bit, I think it'd look really well as Judd puts his Wolves bib on and gets ready to talk a little bit of hockey still on Judd's hockey show. But yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that'd be a fine thing to move up.
Interesting. Hey, but before we get to our next topic, because I got a note about this, and I want to talk about a winger in particular who's not doing what he was previously, but I think he is still instrumental. I want to talk to you about weight loss. And Declan Goff, I want to talk to you about my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers who have helped me drop approximately 40 pounds. That's right. And the most important thing now is they're helping me keep the weight off. We've all lost weight before, right? Mm-hmm. And we've lost weight and we've thought, okay, now I've lost the weight. Congratulations, self. And then guess what? You go back to old habits, you gain weight back, and sometimes you gain more weight back than you lost. Well, that is not the case here because of the nutritionists and coaches that help you. And have I got a deal for you right now? Get 25% off your program plus 35 meals for free. Livia.com, 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com. You can do it either by going in to their centers if you live here in town, or if you don't, if you're consuming our show from the East Coast, the West Coast, the South, I don't care where. Yet guess what? Virtual opportunities to talk to dietitians. They will send you your food. There's deals on that as well. So again, 35 meals free, 25% off the program, Livia, Livea.com.
So you can get a Jonas Brodin deal off of program. You get the Manny Fernandez-esque meals. Did you see what I did there?
35.
Did you see what I did there?
Right away. I got you right away on Brodin. That was very,
very impressive. Good. Yeah, you can put that bib in now. It fits it nicely.
So I got a note during the course of the game, and I thought it was an interesting observation. I don't totally disagree, but I think it's worth talking about.
Okay.
Marcus Foligno. And there's a feeling among some that his play has dropped off, which I will say this, his goal scoring, which you pointed out early in the season, was unsustainable. It waned a little bit. It came back a bit. But we talked about this probably for the first time about 3 weeks back, Dex, and I think it's worth exploring now. There is no question in my mind he is playing hurt. And he is still playing tough. And he hit Pavelski with like a chicken wing tonight.
Yeah,
he definitely abused guys. So like he is not backing off from his game. But there's no question, in my opinion, that he doesn't look as sharp as he once did, in large part, Declan, because he's trying to play hurt. And I think the last time we talked about this, we surmised, I think correctly, that he's probably battling about 2 or 3 things. But this is where things are now. Like this is the norm. We're going into the playoffs. And guess what? In the playoffs, it gets tougher. So I would say, if your observation is what happened to Marcus, well, 1, I think he's playing hurt. 2, I don't think he's going to come out no matter what. And 3, this is the direction that things are going to go. And by the time the Wild's playoff run, which hopefully is a long run, is done, Declan Goff, you're going to have a few guys who you're probably going to question why they don't look the same, because this is the price that guys pay. And this is the price that they're going to pay as the playoffs progress.
He's just I'm trying to pull up his some of his advanced stats just in his last game log from Natural Stat Trick, and just kind of get a look of how he's been possessing wise in terms of Corsi rate and even plus minus. And tonight, and it's so hard to project this too with Foligno and even Eck and Greenway, because they play a defensive game. So when you're seeing Corsi 4, which is accounting for all shots on goal, shots blocked, shots attempted, they're doing a good job of trying to minimize those shots and spending a lot of times in the defensive zone. So naturally, they sometimes still have a tendency to have a negative Corsi because they are allowing more shots because they're trying to play a defensive game, right? So just looking at the last 2 games, I mean, he's been brutal in terms of a Corsi rate. He was 37% tonight, 21% against Edmonton, 35% against the Kings. Had a pretty strong game Corsi-wise against the Blues and Preds before then. But there's no doubt he's playing hurt. We've noticed that now going back, I believe, to the Pittsburgh game, about 3 weeks ago when Zucker was here. That I think it was when I first broached. Do you have to sit him? Can you give him a maintenance day? And look, hard to give anyone a maintenance day. You're in the thickness of a playoff race. Thank God the Wild got 2 points. Now I have 2 games in hand against St. Louis. That's key. And I believe Judd, like 6 of the remaining 9 games at home for the Wild too.
If I'm not mistaken, yes.
So a game in hand. That's key.
Points. Yep.
And 6 of 9 nice at home. So that should hopefully give you a little bit more cushion to potentially still get that second seed and therefore get home ice advantage in the first round. But I don't think there's any coincidence that you're seeing it in his game that he looks hurt. And look, he's a warrior, dude. Like, it's going to take hell and high water. And if I would even I say it's easy as a podcast host in front of a microphone, say, hey, just give him a maintenance day. You couldn't pay me all the riches in the world to go up to Marcus Foligno tomorrow and say, hey, Marcus, why don't you sit this one out? Why don't you take a game off? It's just not going to happen.
And I don't think a maintenance day would help. I think he needs a maintenance month or 2. So, and I mean, he's not going, it's not possible. So what I would say with Foligno is tamp down your expectations to what he can do well, which is physical, which is responsible defensively, which is he can create a bit, but like the high flying, when Foligno is 100%, he actually does have, there's no question, some offensive skills. Like, I'm not saying
for sure,
but he's got skills.
Yeah.
But I think we need to temper our expectations now to what he can probably do, which is play his game. I mean, he's still going to abuse guys. He's still going to hit. He's not going to take shifts off, which is the most important thing. But as far as like, is Marcus Foligno going to score some big goals? He might score a couple, but like the expectation of what we saw the first what, Declan? 2 months of the season?
Yeah.
That's probably realistically not going to take place.
And even his goals for rate percentage, it's been brutal the last 3 games. So, I mean, when he's on the ice, he's putting himself in situations where the other team has better chances to score goals than he's creating. And again, it's hard with analytics to use that with that line. That's where you also have to.
And he was out there against that top, and I mean, they're playing against good lines too.
Yes. So when I say these analytics and I say these numbers, this is where again you have to really balance it with a little bit of an eye test and a little bit of also we always say eye test, but also common sense, I think, is honestly another trait in analytics and in hockey analyzing that we have to also use. But it's noticeable. Like it's also I can tell in my eye test that he doesn't look the same. He's banged up and he's trying to play through something.
Right. But if they're going against top lines, which that line is, they're often going to probably not be flattered by the advanced metrics.
Correct.
That being said, they will do a superior job to like the fourth line. But that also brings us back to Greenway. And the fact that when that line is not those 3 guys, it is not the same. And so it's absolutely imperative, even though all 3 almost certainly when the playoffs start will not be physically 100%, it's imperative that they're all playing. And that's the weird thing, because I just feel like with Jost in there or Duhaime, it's not that those guys are bad players, but the chemistry of the Greenway, Foligno, Ek line is so good. And Dex, just to be clear too, it looks like St. Louis and the Wild, and technically because the Wild's played 73 games and the Blues have played 74 at 98 points. They are second and third now, respectively. Nashville is wild card 1 and Dallas is wild card 2, of course, both from the same Central Division with 89 points. So short of something really weird taking place, it's going to be either the Blues opening against the Wild at the X or the Wild in St. Louis. But we are very much now headed for a series which I think would be really, really fun.
Well, I mean, Caleb on our YouTube channel right here, Blues game on Saturday, it's going to be a street fight. Can't wait. And it is. It's going to be a street fight. And there's a little bit of kryptonite in Superman's game when it comes to the Blues and the Wild, where they can play a style that really throws them off. And look, the Winter Classic, throw that one away. Like, it was an outdoor game. It was negative 30 degrees out. My beer was freezing. It was a whole thing. It wasn't the only thing freezing, to be completely honest. But
come on, you had your chill boys on you.
I had my chill boys on, which helped out a little bit. But in general, that's gonna be such a fun. It's gonna be a black and blue type of game. I believe they were in Buffalo tonight. St. Louis was. So this will be fun. This is gonna be a blast. It's just probably, like you said, it's probably gonna be probably likely a 90% chance of this rate. It's gonna be Blues and Wild in the first round, but we're still trying to figure out who will have the home ice, and that matters significantly in the playoffs.
7 games, you think?
If it was Blues and Wild,
I think it might be 7. I think it might be 7 games, baby. Which is why I want the last one here. I have no interest in if I am the Wild. I have no interest in going there. None. Hey, I want to talk about one last thing, but before I do that, guys, I want to give you a Mother's Day layup, some basketball terms. I want to give you a slam dunk. May 8th, Mom's Day, right? And right now, guys, you're saying, what am I going to get my mom or my wife? And this is why Sports Dad is here to bring the knowledge. Spiral light candles are the perfect, inexpensive, locally made gift that she will absolutely love. Prices start at $14, a wide variety. Orders of $50 or more, guys, they ship for free. SpiralLightCandles.com, SpiralLightCandles.com. It is great. In fact, I got about 2 or 3 a couple days ago, and Dawn said, I like these so much, I ordered more already. So more are headed to our house. Make sure for Mom's Day, SpiralLightCandles.com is your one-stop shopping. She will love it. It's not cliched. It's an original idea. You'll get so many brownie points. It'll be fantastic. All right, the telecast. I got to talk about it. I got to talk about it. We are now well into ESPN's first year back. I got the package. I watched a bunch of games. But the Bruins Wild ESPN game earlier this year. And this game, Declan. And by the way, TNT's doing a great job. I think they do fantastic work. I think they do fantastic. Game production's great. Announcers are great. Studio show I love. We've sang the praises of Biz Nasty. I mean, where do I start? Lack of replays. There were 2 or 3 sequences where they didn't show it, or they thought they were going to, and they showed something else. Lack of replays, graphics goofed up, just general cable access type of coverage from a place that's been showing sports forever, from a place that on NBA games, Declan Goff does fantastic work. So this is not like an upstart. This is ESPN. My disappointment on a scale of 1 to 10 with tonight's telecast is probably about an 8. I thought it was awful. I thought it was absolutely inexcusably bad. If this was week 1, I'd be like, okay, work on it. We are almost, they've got the playoffs. They've got Stanley Cup. We're at the end of the regular season. And I thought that was absolutely atrocious.
Here's the issue. Because I've been wanting this to happen for years.
So did I.
You and I have talked ad nauseum about how much this is going to be a good thing for the NHL. And in general, I still think marketing-wise, this has been a win. The Point on ESPN today was phenomenal. They featured 2 big stories with Spurgeon and Matt Boldy. They do a great job. Kevin Weeks did an interview with them. Emily Kaplan, who was in Carolina tonight, had some great insight. They've done a pretty good job at marketing the game. I don't think this necessarily falls on their play-by-play and color commentating broadcasters.
Okay.
I am recklessly speculating here that the production crew and the people they have put on behind the scenes are the thing that's making this even more glaring. Like the play-by-play and color, it is what it is. Like, I have high standards for broadcasters. I do. I literally go completely out of my way to not listen to certain local broadcasts. So I have a high standard for that. Yeah. But when I watch the ESPN actual just play-by-play color commentary, I don't have much of an issue there. TNT either. And TNT, yes, does a far superior job than the NHL has shown, or than ESPN has shown this year. I think personally this comes down to a production value. And as someone who went to school for this type of stuff, has numerous friends who do also a great job locally here behind the scenes and putting on a good production, I think this falls completely on production. And I don't know if ESPN, if they put their eggs in a basket where, hey, we can only hire and do so much with this on the behind-the-scenes front, but that's how I feel. It's not the broadcast. It's not the broadcasters, excuse me. It's how the broadcast is presented, I think, that has been really bad and not up to par.
Well, I think for the most part, like, Brian Boucher was fine. The play-by-play guys, I'm a little bit surprised by, because I really thought that they would go out and get at least one, like, recognizable big-time name there, and they did not. But I agree completely. The production of the telecast is terrible. They had, when Fiala scored his second goal, right after the goal, they immediately put up a hero graphic about Joe Pavelski. Like, they hit the wrong thing. Yeah. There was another one where
production.
There was one before that in the first period where I think that they sort of showed a graphic of the Ryan Hartman donating, deciding to take what he was donated for his fine and give it to charity, and they showed him as a Dallas Star. So I agree. There was another one tonight, there were at least 2 or 3 where I had to rewind to watch replays because they didn't show them. The one that stood out was as they went to break, they were trying to show the save that Fleury made, where he basically made an accidental save, which was a nice save, but they tried to show it. They never got to it. So they just showed this long extended play. They went to break and they didn't come back and show it. So we never saw that again. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. What I'm saying is we're at the end of the season. How the hell is this happening? Like, how do you not get this fine-tuned, honed? They're going to show playoff games. And if they do, and if they pull the crap that they pulled tonight or that Boston game, it's really, really bad. Like, I have issues with certain things on telecast as well.
Yeah.
But I would never say that they were flat out unprofessional. Like, tonight's production was unprofessional.
It was.
Like, it looks like you took a bunch of kids. It looks like you took a bunch of kids, turned them loose, and said, "Do your best." And this is on the main channel. So anyway, that's my rant. That's my gripe. At some point in time, though, when the games become exclusive to ESPN, and my guess by then is they'll have a better production team, to your point. But if they don't, you're going to have real problems, because hockey fans do have standards. And on a scale of 1 to 10, the production being a 2 is not going to cut it.
It won't. It will not. So yeah, that's what I've noticed. And I look, the broadcast, the play-by-play in color, I get it. Some people don't like it. I think Leah Hextall has done mostly a good job this year. I know if Wild fans were just killing her at the beginning of the season when she didn't know these names. And look, Wild fans, not a lot of people outside of Kirill Kaprizov know who the hell is on the Minnesota Wild. And yes, is it a broadcaster's job to study up and know those information? Yes, of course it is. But also, I can't stand listening to certain broadcasts where all they talk about is one-sided things. I can't listen to it. I cannot listen to it. If anyone's watching who's a Wolves fan, Jim Pete does it great. Wes Walls does it great on the Wild side. Ryan Carter, I think, even to a degree, does it pretty well too, where they will talk about both things. But when I am just hearing a tunnel vision look on the team and the circumstances and everything surrounding it, it tunes me out. I can't listen to it. But for the ESPN side, yeah, I think it mostly on the pie chart of blame, as we love to do, falls more on the production and the broadcasting side of it than it does the play-by-play and color commentators.
Pick your game up then, production people. Pick your game up. The playoffs are coming, and I have no patience for the crap that we had to watch tonight. All right, so we're done here, Dex.
Yes.
Thanks to our friends again at Dex. Pick yours up. Surly Brewing.
Sorry.
Furious IPA. Havoc Machine, as Dex has. I'm sure we'll be back with another edition of Judd's Hockey Show soon. As Declan teased earlier, don't forget, right after the Wolves and Grizzlies play Game 1 in Memphis on Saturday, we will have a Wolves vent line, and of course back with Mackie and Judd and Purple Daily on Friday as well. The action never stops with us at Score North, because we enjoy the action so much. So be good boys and girls. Drink your Surly. Have a great night. And Declan, I believe you've got something to play for us.
Pass, you score.
Listen, you guys know what this is all about, right? Right? What's it all about? Spurgey?
Hard work and having fun.
That. This is about winning.